Yankees and now MLB legend Carsten Charles Sabathia Jr. was officially voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. 134 of his 251 career wins, as well as the franchise's most recent World Series title, was done rocking a Yankees fitted. So let's talk to our MLB writer, Dan Martin, about what made CC Sabathia a great one. Dan, we just got the news. Congratulations to CC. I'll get your thoughts on this one because the association or the committee hadn't elected a pitcher to the Hall since they voted three in back in 2019. CC, as you know, has a laundry list of accolades and accomplishments during his time in MLB. So what kind of stands out to you most about CC Sabathia in terms of what got him into Cooperstown?
Well, Brandon, there's a lot of things that stand out. He's a kind of a guy that they don't really have anymore in Major League Baseball, just a workhorse. He did kind of it all, throughout his career, not just with the Yankees, coming up at 20 years old with Cleveland as a phenom and hitting the ground running. He was great right from the get-go, became an ace there, won a Cy Young there. Then he got traded to Milwaukee in the middle of 2008 season, and people still talk about what the run that he had in '08 with Milwaukee, talking about things that people don't do anymore. He took the ball every 3 or 4 days, literally, took the mound and, just willed that team to the playoffs. And then, came to the Yankees with an enormous contract, a ton of pressure in 2009. And like you said, led them to their last World Series win, and then became kind of the face of the franchise, or certainly one of them after Derek Jeter retired, and kind of got them through that transition from Jeter to Judge. So he's starting pitchers. It's tough for them to really put their imprint on a franchise on a day-to-day basis because they only pitch every 5 days. But CC was not like that. He was the guy every day, whether he was pitching or not, in the clubhouse, on the field. Everyone looked to CC. So as much as he did throwing the ball and being a pitcher, it was his leadership as well that kind of made him stand apart.
Well, let's talk about that time in the Bronx. You mentioned that deal. He signed a 7-year, $161 million free agent deal with the Yankees. That was the largest contract for a pitcher in baseball history at that time, Dan. So he showed up, showed out in the Bronx. What were some of your greatest CC moments while he was rocking that Yankees fitted?
Look, he showed up and right away became the ace of the staff. Brian Cashman talked a lot about he wanted to change the culture of the clubhouse after the 2008 season. They signed Mark Teixeira as well, but CC was a big part of that. Taking him. They recruited him. They went out to Southern California. There was questions about how would he handle New York. Would he want to pitch in New York after pitching in Cleveland and Milwaukee and coming from California? But he took to it right away. The fans loved him. He just was a larger than life personality, big, strong, never backed down. So, what stands out is just, I think it was the first 4 or 5 years he pitched for the Yankees, 200 plus innings, 230 innings most of the time. No one approaches that anymore. And then, some injuries got in the way. It looked like the extension that they gave him was going to turn out to be a disaster. But he redid himself as a pitcher. He remade himself as a pitcher when he lost some of his velocity, and he did it a different way with control and precision. So he went through a lot of different phases in his career, but always even if he wasn't the best pitcher on the staff, he was always the ace and the guy that the Yankees leaned on the most.
Yeah, legend on the mound and off. Talk about the work that he did with the Boys and Girls Club up in the Bronx. And he also wrote a children's holiday book, CC Claus, a baseball Christmas story. So, I mean, that's legendary to me right there within itself. You've covered this team for a long time, Dan. You covered CC Sabathia. You have any cool behind-the-scenes stories from covering CC in the locker room or just with his time with the Yankees?
Just what I remember is every day you wanted to check in with him. He was always interesting to talk to, had a different viewpoint than a lot of guys because, he didn't live and breathe baseball. He was more of a football and basketball fan, really. He'd rather talk about the Raiders half the time than the Yankees. But when they needed him, when they needed someone to say something, he would say it, or he wouldn't even need to say it. Guys would just look at him. And then you talked about the charity work that he still does it with his wife Amber, and they're still very involved in California and here in New York. The Pitch CC Foundation that he has with his wife, And then what's kind of surprising, in his post-playing career is that he works for MLB now. He's out there a lot. I saw him during the playoffs. I see him, during the regular season out at Yankee Stadium working with the league. So you're never quite sure what guys are going to do after they play. But he's really become a fixture in the game, and now obviously in the Hall of Fame, he's going to be a fixture there forever. There was some question leading up to the voting whether he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but clearly his impact on the game, some of the numbers that he put up, the longevity that he had, a left-handed starting pitcher with those types of numbers. I'm not sure anyone's ever going to do that again. So he's got a well-deserved place in Cooperstown now.
Yeah, and you can catch him courtside at some Knicks games as well. Love seeing him courtside. Dan, thanks for hopping on with us. And once again, congratulations, CC Sabathia.
Thanks, Brandon.